My name's Yusuf Omar and I am a mojo, a mobile journalist, a selfie journalist, a jeans journalist. Everything I need to tell a story should fit in my pocket, but sometimes in a backpack. Basically, I need two things: phone and a drone. Those are the only two things I need. How I started. I've been a correspondent for about 8 years, working in South Africa, India, the UK. I started at E! News Channel Africa, the Hindustan Times, most recently CNN in London. And I use mobile phones to tell stories. I now founded a company called #OurStories, where we train people around the world to tell stories using their mobile phones, and we're able to create those into shows. And I'm going to show you guys some of my kit. My spectacles, I can press that and record video. Have you seen these videos before? Through to my phone over Wi-Fi. And the videos are round, which means I can watch it sideways or upright. Which is very clever, because the whole debate is, do you go vertical or landscape or square? What type of videos do you do? So, you got the drone, you got the spectacles. These are awesome. This is a wireless mic by Samsung. It's like the cheapest wireless mic you can buy.
Thank you for tip.
Yeah, they're really good value for money. Then you get a little like a light to put on the top of your phone. This kind of stuff, like this is called an Olo clip system. So that just sits on there like that. Or like if I want to add a lens. Again, these are really cheap solutions. I can just pop that on like that, and now I have a wide angle lens. And if I want to put a tripod on the bottom, I take that little clip, clap that on like that. And now you have a tripod.
Nice.
Yeah. I think especially in developing countries where people don't have all of the equipment in the world, using a simple headphones, you can often hold that out and this will function as a good microphone. You don't need any of this stuff. As I said earlier, the two pieces of equipment I need is a phone and a drone. The rest of the stuff I just show people, really. The most interesting story is always now. So last week we trained a bunch of people in Sri Lanka and they went back to their countries. And a girl just today from the Maldives submitted a video talking about how for Eid Day, while everyone was celebrating, in the Maldives people were dressing up as political spirits, evil spirits, in all sorts of funny outfits and making fun of politicians and corruption. That's my favorite story right now, because that is somebody who's brave enough to share their story using their mobile phone in a country where they have very little press freedom. Why do I choose mobile journalism? I think it's often the fastest way to get a story out. I think it's often the cheapest way in developing parts of the world, and increasingly I'm finding it's becoming the most intimate way. I think a good interview is often about forgetting that big broadcast equipment is even there, and that's what a mobile phone allows for. It's so discreet. Increasingly now we're seeing with platforms like Facebook Live, with Periscope, with Snapchat Stories, it's also opening up a whole new sphere of creativity. The new formats of social media are about the camera with layers of information on top. With your, when you swipe on Instagram and you put your date and you put your time and you put your location, and this is all facilitated with a mobile phone. Working in India, we found that videos that were produced on a mobile phone performed better than videos that were produced on a broadcast camera. And I think this is because when you're creating on a phone, you're considering how a mobile audience wants to consume. All of your considerations. Are the subtitles too big or too small? Maybe I should change them. If my arm is getting tired from editing, maybe it's too long. There are no rules. I'm more interested in people having tools to do better storytelling, but we are increasingly seeing that broadcasters are bringing really bad broadcast habits and applying them to mobile storytelling. So they're saying, oh, it must be 16:9. It must be on a tripod. This is all nonsense. If you want to shoot vertical, shoot vertical. If you want to hold it handheld, you hold it handheld. If you don't want a microphone, that's fine too. Get close. The whole idea is that this is the democratization of media. We don't need to bring in any more principles. I don't believe in that stuff. I think tips and tricks, as a general rule, people need to learn to keep it short. In print, they said you could tell a story in 400 words, and if you can't tell it in 400, you don't know what you're talking about. I like to think if you can't tell a story in under a minute, you don't know what you're talking about. So the ability to create really, really short formats and break away from the television narrative of interview, reporter, sign off. Nowadays we can do an entire story with no interviews, just with music and text and video. So breaking out of these conventional TV formats. In terms of the actual principles of shooting on a phone, very simply, try and be more static. The most amateur videos I see is because they're moving around too much. Lock up one shot, get that, get another one. If you're gonna pan, hold your frame, move, land your frame. Same going from top to bottom, land your frame. I think a variety of shots is important too. Often amateurs shoot everything wide. If you can get a nice tight shot, wide shot, medium shots, it helps out. And it goes back to actually the very basics of storytelling. Can you create a sequence? No matter what story you're doing, to the eye, it's very comforting to see a sequence. So if somebody's making a coffee, I want to see them open the cupboard. I want to see them get the cup out. I want to see them put the kettle on. I want to see them pour it. This is a sequence, and when put together as overlay, it helps a narrative progress. So it's actually very basics.